Recording in progress.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm David Mencer, Israeli government spokesman. Today is Tuesday, the 2nd of April, 2024, day 179 of the October 7th war. 179 days on, our determination to achieve our war aims remains the same. Number one, of course, to destroy Hamas. Number two, to bring home our hostages. And of course, to ensure that Gaza never becomes a threat to us again. This will be a short briefing because I want to leave time for your questions, which you should put in the chat together with your news outlet. I want to update you on 5 key items. The first is the sad news that we heard overnight about the World Central Kitchen incident. The Prime Minister has said that unfortunately, in the last day, there was a tragic case of our forces unintentionally hitting innocent people in the Gaza Strip. The Prime Minister said it happens in war. We will check it to the end. We are in contact with the governments and we will do everything so that this thing does not happen again. End quote. I would point you to the comprehensive statement made by IDF spokesman Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari. So I will not repeat word for word everything that he said. Needless to say, we see these deaths as tragic. Whatever our inquiries turn up, the World Central Kitchen employees fulfill a vital mission of bringing food to people in need. Genuine aid workers are the unsung heroes in all conflicts. The IDF is a professional military which abides by international law. We are examining the case thoroughly and transparently through the fact-finding and assessment mechanism, an independent professional and expert body. This is especially painful because we have worked closely with WCK in their noble mission of help bring food and humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza and not to be stolen by Hamas. You should know that WCK also came here to help Israelis after the massacre of the October 7th. So they were, in fact, one of the first NGOs to get here. We will get to the bottom of this. It's a tragic, tragic issue. Next, an important issue on hostage negotiations from the Prime Minister's office on behalf of the Mossad. This afternoon, the negotiating delegation of the Mossad, Shin Bet, and the IDF will return from Cairo. This has been another intensive round of talks. Our Egyptian partners have been helpful mediators. I can report that the mediators formulated an up-to-date proposal for dealing with Hamas. Israel expects the mediators to take vigorous action regarding Hamas to advance the negotiations towards a deal. The state of Israel continues to make all necessary efforts to free the hostages from the hands of Hamas and return them to their friends and families here in Israel. Next, I want to deal with Iran. For the past 6 months, Iran has sought to destabilize the world. Iran is behind Hezbollah. Iran is behind Hamas. Iran is behind the Houthis. Atrocities using proxies in Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Yemen. It's always Iran. The Prime Minister recently told a group of visiting congressmen and women that Iran's formal policy has shifted from ideological to practical. Iran is seeking the destruction of the state of Israel. Iran is not only our enemy, Iran is the enemy of the US, UK, France, Germany, and all free nations. So we have to win. There is no substitute for victory. Now an update from our parliament, the Knesset in Jerusalem, and their passing of a bill for the temporary ban on Al Jazeera's operations here in Israel. I want to share 5 important points with you. 1, Al Jazeera has actively harmed Israel's security. Their staff participated in the October 7th massacre. Number 2, as the Prime Minister has said, and I quote, "It's time to remove the mouthpiece of Hamas from Israel." Number 3, we are the third country in the region to take such action. We note European partners have banned the Iranian mouthpiece, Press TV, and the Russian mouthpiece, RT. Number 4, the IDF have revealed that Al Jazeera journalists and Hamas terrorists have often been one and the same people. And number 5, rather ominously, like the Oscars, but for terrorists, Hamas awarded Al Jazeera winners for their coverage. So we say very clearly, freedom of the press, yes. Freedom for jihadis, no. And finally, we've been asked about the Prime Minister's condition. I'm pleased to share that he has been discharged from Hadassah Ein Kerem Hospital. He thanked the wonderful medical staff for all the good wishes of so many for a speedy recovery. The Prime Minister continues to hold his daily routine, including consultations and conversations. That brings us to the end of today's briefing. I will now take your questions in the chat. Please state your news outlet, and I'll be happy to receive your questions now. Thank you very much.
Okay, so there's a question from James William of Zenger International News. And he asked, is there any update on the tragic accident in the fog of war that killed 7 aid workers from the World Central Kitchen? And also, what is the reason that ships left Cyprus with aid for Gaza and are now returning with the food they were meant to deliver? Thank you.
Thank you, Jim, for your question. In this statement, we shared our grief for this very, very unfortunate incident. It's a tragic incident and the loss of these innocent aid workers. We will get to the bottom of what happened. We have spoken to their governments, and we've also, Daniel Hagari has spoken to the founder of WCK. This is a tragic incident. It has cast a dark cloud over this country in a very, very difficult time. So we will get to the bottom of what has happened. On the second point you mentioned about the aid shipment, I would encourage you to put that question to COGAT. I don't have any information about that. Next question, please.
Well, you have a similar question from David Clement of the News Forum in Canada. He asked, regarding the aid workers who were killed, it was reported that there was a Canadian among them. Has the Israeli government spoken with their counterparts in Ottawa, Canada about the death? And can you provide any more information on that?
Thank you very much for your question. So I've made clear that the Prime Minister has spoken to other governments that have been affected by this tragic case. This is an absolutely horrifying idea. As I mentioned in my briefing, that aid workers, genuine aid workers, are really the unsung heroes in conflicts around the world. They make sure that aid goes to the people that need it most. And in our case, try to stop Hamas from stealing that aid. War is a terrible thing. This was not a war that we started or a war that we wanted, but nonetheless, this is a tragic case, but we will get to the bottom of what's happened. Thank you. The next question, please.
One more related question from Riley Stewart of Australia Broadcasting Corporation, and he asked, the IDF has said that it is working with the World Central Kitchen to help complete its duties in Gaza. What hope do other organizations have for their safety in Gaza, given that the IDF has confirmed it fatally bombed WCK convoy?
Thank you very much for your question, Riley. So we are carrying out an inquiry into what has happened here. We've said that this is a tragic case. I mentioned to you as well already that these are unsung heroes of wars around the world, and especially here in our battle with Hamas to try and get aid to the people that need it most in Gaza. We will work extremely hard. In fact, we are positively trying to get as much aid into Gaza as possible. The figures are now more than 200 trucks going in every day. I remind you that food trucks, before this war, there were 70 food trucks a day going in. The last count was more than 200. So we're working extremely hard to get as much aid as we can and get it to the people that need it the most. Next question, please.
We have another question now from Joel Pollack of Breitbart News, and he asked, can you respond to claims by the White House Al Alabira correspondent that Israel killed 300 people at the Shifa hospital and they were found with their hands tied?
Thank you very much for your question, Joel. I haven't seen those reports, and there's certainly nothing I can comment on. I can give you an update on our latest from Al Shifa. Al Shifa unfortunately ceased to be a hospital. It turned into a terrorist base. In fact, I think that when the history books are written on urban warfare, whether at Sandhurst or at West Point, I think this will be an example of a case where Israel has gone to remarkable lengths to get civilians, to get the patients in the hospital out of harm's way, and to allow us to root out the terrorists. The latest figures we have are more than 200 terrorists that we eliminated in this action, and 500 terrorists who we've apprehended. So those sorts of reports, I think, are a fallacy. They're just not true. I think that this has been independently confirmed by genuine sources, and not by the source which you mentioned. Next question, please.
We have a question from Frederick at Interplanetary Television, and he asked, following the attack of Iran's embassy in Damascus, Iranian President Raisi declared that the attack on the embassy, quote, will not go unanswered. The leader of the Muslim Brotherhood has also called for Muslims to attack Israeli embassies around the world. Has Prime Minister Netanyahu already instructed to put in place special security measures to protect Israeli embassies and personnel worldwide? And if so, which ones? And additionally, will Israel's National Security Council release new security recommendations for Israelis living outside of Israel in light of the escalation with Iran?
Fred, thank you very much for that question. I don't need to tell you that all of Israel's embassies around the world and all of Israel's people around the world are already on an extremely high alert. They have been since the dastardly attack, the invasion attempt of our country on the 7th of October. So I haven't got anything more to share with you, nor can I give any comment on any attack which you mentioned in your question just there. I would just say that Daniel Hagari, the Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari from the IDF, has stated very clearly that the installation in Damascus was not an embassy, it was not a civilian building, it was a military building, an Al-Quds force military building disguised as a civilian building in Damascus. So any semblance that this is somehow, that this was somehow a civilian embassy is plainly not true, and the IDF has made that crystal clear. Next question, please.
We have a question now from Rohit of ITV News, and he asked, what impact do you think last night's killings will have on the relationship with the UK? can you see why some senior figures in the UK believe this is a moment for the government to review its relationship with Israel?
The relationship between Britain and Israel is a long and intense one. I would say, and I think it's no secret to say, that Israel is our closest partner in Europe, that the UK is our closest partner in Europe. It's a very important relationship. It is also no secret that the Mossad has prevented numerous attacks on British soil from terrorists. They have saved many lives of UK citizens. That's not a secret, that's already out there. And security personnel and former security personnel in the UK will confirm that fact. This has been a tragic incident, the killing of these innocent aid workers. We will get to the bottom of what happened, and we will adjust. We will adjust practices as a result of those investigations. Again, we say again that this is an absolutely tragic incident. Our Prime Minister has already made clear that he has been in contact with his counterparts in other countries. This is a terrible thing that has happened, because the work of WCK has been so important in ensuring that Hamas is not able to steal the aid, sell it onto the black market, and then put it onto the black market for vastly increased prices. Unfortunately, no one in Hamas is hungry. Absolutely no one. I can guarantee you that fact. So that is why we're working extra hard to get as much aid into Gaza as we possibly can. We're up to 20,000 trucks, aid trucks, food, humanitarian needs, tents, medicines. We are trying our hardest to let in as much aid as we possibly can, because of course we have no beef with the people of Gaza. Our beef is with Hamas. It's a terrorist organization. It has brought nothing but misery to its people, to the people of Gaza. And we need to liberate Gaza from Hamas to build a better future for Gaza's people. Thank you. Next question, please.
No question from Orly Harlpin of ABC News Australia. She asked, what does Israel say to claims that Israel targets ambulances and humanitarian aid convoys after we have seen numerous such cases, including most recently last night?
Thank you for your question. So it is frankly obscene to say that Israel does anything of the kind. We have worked very hard to get more aid into Gaza. As I mentioned before, 70 food trucks before this war, more than 200 today, an average of about 150 every single day. So the idea that that we are targeting aid convoys is nothing short of nonsense. That said, we are investigating this tragic case. It is a tragic case. Innocent people have lost their lives. We will get to the bottom of what has happened. This is a war, again, a war that we did not want, a war that we did not start, but we will work hard to bring an end to Hamas, to free Gaza from Hamas, and to build a better future for us, the people of Israel, but of course, all of our neighbors in this region.
There are no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There'll be another briefing tomorrow at the same time. Please try and stay safe. Thank you. Bye-bye.